Hello and welcome to Season 2 of The Adventures of the Windswift. We ended on a bit of a cliffhanger last season. If you haven't watched it, it's called Death on the Dice, or Dice on the Death, or something like that. Die and Death, something. Just go watch it, you'll find out.
Death was involved, that's all.
Death and dice were involved.
Everybody died.
Or not. Watch it and you'll find out. So anyway, let us continue. Dice of Destiny, who's going to give us a review of the last episode so that you don't actually have to go and watch it? And that would be Mutaru. Michael, give us our review.
Well, it's nice to see you all here again. It's been a long road, one filled with trials and tribulations. Where to begin? Simply starting from the past few days is not going to suffice. Let me take you back. The 4 captains of our beloved ship, the Windswift, set about on training maneuvers over a vast desert near the Sajet Empire, when the ship training with us, the Kadandashi, exploded in a giant fireball. We tried to mount a rescue and managed to save but one child, who gave us crucial evidence that we, members of the Order of the Histari, protectors of this land against the forces who would unite the dragons, were under attack. Springing to action, we sent out a call, ensuring that the other captains knew that there was in fact a clear and present danger, only to learn that the crew of the Sandori had also been attacked and were nearby. Acting with haste, the group managed to mount a rescue in the Gamspire Mountains at Felis Lagain, a lost city of the once proud Ice Elves who fought against the dragons so many years ago. The Sandori and her crew, upon arrival, were missing, save for a bardic character, a very vibrant and beautiful woman by the name of Sori, who became firm friends with, well, me. We searched the Ziggurat at Felis Lagain and found it overrun by undead Ice Elves, who spewed forth blue freezing blood and muttered words we believe to be associated with the dragons. We also happened to find another member of the Sandori, but things got, well, complicated. Julii, a scholar aboard, who had actually guided their small vessel to the area, was under some kind of influence. She was not in her right mind. You see, she belonged to the Order of the Octrelicar, an order who'd dedicated their lives to destroying artifacts from an ancient time where dragons were around. But she had no intention of fulfilling her oath. She intended to take the artifact for herself and use its power. Be it for good, be it for evil, this is still unacceptable. Nonetheless, we took her into custody and managed to continue our search, but the forces of the Ice Elves were so strong, so powerful, we were overwhelmed would be an understatement. I'm pretty sure I died at some point, but there was a powerful force guiding me and brought me back from the brink of complete and utter annihilation with a few extra bumps to remind me of my true destiny, one which I intend to fulfill, first and foremost, by seeing justice done. We are now aboard the Windswift, the Felis Lagain Ziggurat, now softly below us, and I've called for Sir Blackstone's arrest.
Indeed he has.
Dun dun dun!
Now, if you recall as well, orders were given to rendezvous with the Yeoch Lochhallen, the sister ship, and she's on the other side of the planet. So, from what I recall, the ship has engaged sails and is slowly making her way across the lower tracts of the Gamspire and out towards the desert lands of the Sajet. The crew stand on the deck, looking between Mutaru and Blackstone. What are you?
Right, so, what?
Maintaining a firm gaze.
We had a long day, guys. Hurricane, ready a feast. Open the kegs and someone bring my friend Mutaru a tankard with ale. He had the worst day of all of us.
Crew, I did not stutter. and I will not repeat my order.
Con, maybe you should take a look at him. He seems a little bit besides himself. You're muted.
Oh.
Can I suggest the commanders to the briefing room? What has gotten into you, Mutaru?
I have reason to suspect that Blackstone himself may be allied with the same forces that were commanding Julii. For the time being, I will ask Blackstone kindly be escorted to your quarters until I can discuss this in full detail.
Are you serious?
On what basis?
Well, I do suggest
Oh.
we hear him out. Let him bring forth some evidence. Everyone
This is hardly the
can be
format for
understood.
that.
Well, then
I
we will
suggest
have
the
to
four
make...
of us should repair to the command center immediately. The crew, about your business.
The crew stand in one of those awkward... one of the captains is telling us to arrest Blackstone. One of the captains is telling us not to arrest him.
Greaves has turned to them and be like, let's make this easy on all of you. All of you go back to your business, but I require 3 of you to come with us. Crossbows at the ready, please.
What?
It's just
Greer.
ridiculous.
Let's just... Think of me as the neutral party here. I'm just making sure that
Graham,
everyone is in...
Graham, let me make this easier on all of us. I take my belt with the sheathed weapon, both of the sheathed weapon, kind of break it off, give it to like a second hand or whatever who's on deck right now. Give it to him.
Steps forward.
Lean my halberd next to it. Obviously, I cannot just I have heavy armor. That takes some time, right, and some effort. But
You
Let's-
may keep your armor. I don't think you're going to use your armor.
I didn't intend to strip in front of everybody, even
I
though
did
it
not.
might be amusing for some. But let's go.
This is
I'll-
Mutaru, I hope you have a really good explanation for this. You know, we've just escaped certain death. We have traitors in our midst, and now this?
Yep. I will follow behind, but I'll look at the men and be like, oh, go get your crossbows. Just wait outside the door.
Lieutenant Tai, with her very prim and proper attitude, Graham, gives you a look of, I'm doing this because you're ordering me to, but I don't agree with you. It's a very powerful look.
I don't know I'm looking like, I don't know what's going on either. Come on.
So,
And then
Lieutenant Tai, first mate, Waffen Jockenstoke, the engineer, and the cook, the drow Ulianatus, join. They're all holding crossbows, but they're holding them pointed at the floor and very, very casually, as if it's just to comply with an order given by a captain. So you head into the briefing room, yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. The briefing room is cold, and not just because of the snow below.
I sort of breeze in rather impatiently and order the 3 crew members to wait outside.
Yeah, of course. That's what I meant for them to do.
They step outside. The door is closed.
Right.
Mataru will walk and stand behind his seat with his weapon still drawn. I understand. I understand your confusion, but understand we are in a situation, one dire and one that has never before been seen by the Astari, where there are confirmed traitors among our midst, and there are certain things, when put together, have brought into question some of Blackstone's actions during this last escapade.
Mutaru, before you go on, are you serious? Do you really know what you're doing here? You just yourself just said the important thing. We are in a situation where we don't know what is going on in headquarters. We 4, 5, we're sorry, might be the only ones who know that there are traitors, and you're trying to split us apart? Are you nuts?
And if a traitor is among us and uses that same logic in order to get the advantage of the last remaining vigil of the Histari, then I will turn no blind eye to it. It was in fact you, yourself, who taught me this lesson, that erring on the side of caution, above and beyond all else, is the wise procedure to go to.
And I could be a loving bunny rabbit, and we know that's not true. What type of evidence do you have to support what you are saying?
Quite.
I have it all written down.
And that's fine. I'm surprised, but
Mitaru, this is unlike you.
I know, I have a notepad and everything.
I'm actually quite excited about this.
3 pieces of evidence, when presented, draw into question many of Sir Blackstone's actions. However, it is not so much proof as guilt, but enough to warrant an investigation into him in a proper forum. The first of which, on our route to the Gam Spire, all the captains were separated after making contact with headquarters. I found Con at the helm, as usual. I found Sir Graham tending to the young boy we had just found. However, reaching the communications HUD, I found Blackstone holding the unconscious body of the Oracle after having engaged in a communication with her, apart from the rest of the group.
That is something we spoke about before, so we were hardly routed. And also, speak with the Mestra herself. She can tell. Did you do that before you came here and accused me of all the crew?
Blackstone, I am fairly sure that you will recall that oracles bear no memory of the communications that they have. Hence, the only person who can attest to your communications is in fact yourself.
That's not true. I spoke with another person, presumably.
Yes, presumably getting the information which led us to Felas Lagain, a hidden and lost city, which potentially led us into a stronghold filled with ice elves and almost got us all killed. Now, if you, for example, I don't know, spoke with Julii on the other end of the line, then you may have personally tried to destroy the Windswift in lieu of the explosion not having occurred.
This is circumstantial at best.
Of course.
This is pure conjecture.
Of course, which brings me to my second position. Once arriving in Felas Lagain, the crew disembarked and we ended up searching the Sandorai for survivors. Now, I'm sure I don't need to remind everyone in this room that it is expressly forbidden for anyone not of an engineering rank to enter into the engineering room. Yet, Blackstone alone entered the engineering room in which the Sandorai was attacked by the Ice Elves, alone and unsupervised, presenting him with ample opportunities to interfere with any kind of investigation we could have regarding the actual sabotage that occurred there. Because
I think you're reaching.
Unlike the Kadandachi, the ship was not exploded.
There was extensive evidence of explosive damage. I believe even Sori claimed there was an explosion.
Oh, absolutely. But why was it not vaporized like the Kadandachi was?
An unsuccessful attempt. We ourselves managed to intercept the attempt on our ship. Perhaps only one of several bombs went off.
Perhaps. But it is still a restricted action, and one that still carries its own penalties. I mean, you yourself saw him do it, did you not?
I asked everybody of you to go into cover, and I let the door open for you to come in. Not 10 seconds after I entered, Graham came to me and said everything is fine. Well, that's not exactly what he said, but...
Well, I met you on the top deck. I went to the other entrance. Yeah, but I didn't go inside.
No, you didn't go inside, but you met me at... It doesn't matter.
Right.
There was an avalanche loose, and we need to take cover, and since this is the heaviest fortified room in the entire ship that was still, well, somewhat...
Oh, you mean
intact.
In that ship? I was thinking about our ship.
No, we were talking about the crashed ship when we were fighting the
Yes,
I think it was zombies, and then
Yeah.
Mutaru launched the avalanche with like a thunder.
Right.
and then I went for cover. That's what he means. I mean, this is like a few months ago, so yeah.
The third is one that I'm not pressing any kind of pressure on, but simply adding to it. And all three pieces in my mind have drawn at least a measure of doubt upon this. Was the reprimand issued by Blackstone after my attack on the ice elf that was spying on us. At the bottom of the ziggurat, we engaged with an ice elf. The ice elf was killed, and yet this seemed to distress Blackstone at the time.
Yes, of course it does. It still does. I would have talked with you like you are supposed to do instead of bringing this up in front of the whole crew. What is even your purpose? Your 3 points are ridiculous.
But they do all bear truth, and each of them bear plenty of evidence for any kind of subterfuge to happen.
Plenty? You really are besides yourself. I think you hit your head down when I saved your fucking life.
Well, let me ask you, if it weren't for your message, would we have been in Fellas Lagain? The one that you received from the Oracle?
Possibly, possibly not. But you were the person who said we should go there. Granted, I would have said the same thing, that we should go here. But why did we go here? What did we find? If I was working with them, wouldn't I not try to lead us somewhere else?
There is perhaps truth to this. But interestingly enough, it still rings true that we don't know who was being spoken to.
Well, then let me ask you this question.
We were led to an enemy stronghold, and there have been ample opportunities where you have acted apart from the captains.
So did you.
Literally. In what way? I believe I was in view at every point.
Met
hole through my chest.
Evil ice elf sorcerer alone, and Grim stumbled upon you with him speaking to your heart, if I remember correctly. Now, this is the same conjecture that you bring up, which is ridiculous.
Sorry, speaking to my heart?
Well, yeah, it was a quite literal hand that was spearing through your heart.
And you insisted on going alone. Now, what that might be? This is ridiculous. There needs to be trust in a team to work, and you don't have any proof. You just spin and draw on straws to come up with these things. I don't think you actually mean what you're saying. I think you just want to. This is just a power move to try to deface me in front of the crew. That is the only thing that makes sense in this situation.
Children, calm down. Okay. If this was a true defacing, then he could have done much worse things. I'm surprised that he's being so civil. Now, let's, instead of arguing and making this a constant cycle of bickering and just destroying ourselves, how about, we've heard your point, Mutaru. Why don't we bring up Blackstone's point then? Why not tell us what happened then on your end to answer for these charges?
I think it's worth noting at this point that all three of you, and myself included, were engaged in a conversation via the Oracle regarding the distress signal sent out by the Oracle of the Sandorai, a distress signal which was picked up by others.
That's true.
But the message delivered by it was only delivered after we had been separated.
So do you think that Blackstone has the potential to mess with an oracle, to actually interrupt, to control that message?
Allow me to reiterate in this fashion. Up until this morning, I, without any hesitation, trusted every last member of the Histari. I unquestioningly had faith in the organization that was around us, and that has been shattered. At this point, I am only looking at these opportunities when presented together in this, again, in a situation where things just got complete. Like, this was an
Hold
enemy's
on,
stronghold.
Mutaru. This is a lie. You were the person who said we shouldn't speak to the headquarters, but directly with the ships, because there might be a spy. So, complete trust until today?
Again, that was no, sorry, not today. Since we discovered that there is a mole in our organization. Because the people who are part of the Histari come from all walks of life. We have all, in our own way, put aside politics, feuds, grievances, in order to band together for the one cause which I believe in. And until this whole thing happened, I believed every single person believed in the same thing. And that was what united us.
And perhaps that is the problem here. In the massive disenchantment that has ensued, you see conspiracy and treachery right beside you.
I mean, that's just a problem. You don't trust anyone.
Look, I have to say, the points you've laid out before us in this room do not convince me in the slightest. I feel
Now,
point number one is circumstantial.
Let's go through point by point. I think to ease at least his mind. I think this is ridiculous. I think this is all a ruse. But fine, let's deal with it.
By all means, if we do this by the book, then you are entitled to a rebuttal to each of these points.
Yes, and Con and I will act as the arbiter.
Very well, I agree.
Yeah, we'll be the neutral party to this, since we're not directly involved in this.
Well,
in this
directly in this case.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that I seek no punishment. More, I seek it being a worthwhile exploration to properly investigate Blackstone, pending this evidence.
Like
I
what?
see no evidence still. It's all conjecture and string spinning in your head after you got knocked out. That's the only thing I see here.
As to the first charge, Blackstone, that you communicated with unknown persons via the Oracle without the presence of the other captains.
Okay.
Bearing in mind that all four of us
I think
have
it would
already...
make sense for Demestra to be here, since she was, even though maybe she does not remember every detail because of said circumstance, she would be questions in this as well. But before we do this, I can easily explain the situation, how it presented itself to me, and why I acted so apparently suspicious to Mutaro. So, before I went to Demestra, we spoke as a group, and spoke in what we want to do, voicing our concerns that there might be some misinformation coming from the headquarters. Mutaro himself was the person who didn't want it to go through headquarters. I myself wanted it to go through headquarters. That's the situation how it was. However that might look. I offered to go to Demestra and look into this. I asked if everybody was okay with this. Obviously, if I would want to secret communication, that's probably how I would do this. Fine. Now, I went to Demestra, made her a little bit more comfortable, brought her something to eat because she was freezing, which for an undead person seems a little bit surprising. And she said, and this is something that she will be able to confirm, that someone is telling her state of mind. I didn't understand it at the time, but I let it there because my mission was to communicate to the other captains we found on the parchment that they are in danger. I spoke with them, and we right now are on the way to the ship that I spoke to. So if and when we meet, the oracle of that ship should be able to confirm that I spoke with them, and I really hope that they're fine, because we didn't speak to them since we came on board. But that's the situation how it was. Then, after I told Demestra what I spoke with this person about, she just reached onto my head again, and I was forced into this second communication where I learned about this whole ordeal where we just came from. and then you came in, as you said, as the Mestra broke down, and I told you immediately what happened. Now, is there possibility of misinformation? Yes, but speak with the Mestra and see what she is going, what she knows, and I hope the Senderai it was Senderai, right? I actually don't know right now. It's Senderai. No, the what's it? The Kadan Koch Loch.
Georg Lochhallen. You spoke to the Georg Lochhallen first.
That's the ship we're meeting on. And then we speak with the people from the Georg Lochhallen and how they fared and what their captains know and what their oracle knows. This is more of, I don't know, more than just conjecture, which is what you present right now.
There's a knock at the door, very discreetly, and it opens slightly. Lieutenant Ty's head has popped round the corner. She looks over at you, Graham, and gives you a...
No, I think you're all relieved. You can go do your duties if you wish. Will take a while.
Apologies, sir. There is a matter I need to discuss with you urgently.
Oh my god. Yes. Arbiter Green will return in a moment. Con, take over, please.
Very well.
I will go out.
I think we've covered the first point fairly extensively. Let us move swiftly on to the second point.
Right, before you go into the second point, Graham, you step outside. Ty is standing there. The other two are there with crossbows, looking bored. She looks at you. I have just been informed that we have received visual communication from the Jedas Bator, a anchor ship. They wish to dock with us. A matter of protocol and conversation, as far as we can make out from the missives. Should I facilitate that, sir?
The timing could not be more uncanny. Yeah, no, please, have them dock. This is going to be hilarious.
You can... Alright, so she leaves. She marches back out onto deck.
Okay, remember when I said that you were relieved? I take that back. Please stay right there. I'm concerned for the mindset of our friend Mutaro at the moment. We're going through lots of things. Think of this like a counseling, and I'll just step right inside.
All right. Sorry. Back to point number 2, Your Honor.
It's still great.
You're muted.
Ah, yes. Point number 2. Well, Blackstone?
Shouldn't he... Do you want me to say my point on this, or do you want to hear it?
Well, he's already given us his 3
Fine.
accusations, so...
So, we were fighting every of these, intruders into the ship as Mutaru
The
and
engine
Sori...
room. Yes.
Yes. As Mutaru and Sori produced a lot of noise in the mountains, where there's snow that's just waiting to fall on our heads.
God, that killed me. Almost.
Right. Now, if I want to bury evidence, which one would make more sense? Losing an avalanche? Or seeking cover from the avalanche? Same conjecture. Okay. So, as we all heard the avalanche loose, you went to see what actually happens. Now, I grew up in snow, and I know its dangers. And if there's an avalanche loose and it's close, it's fast and furious and will smash you and break your bones and tear limb from body. So I was immediately aware of the danger and head towards the engine. Now, so far we are probably agree with just the circumstance. What doesn't make sense in his accusation is that I told everybody basically to come and take cover with me. Now, if I wanted to use subterfuge to hide evidence, then I wouldn't ask people to follow me. I would try to do this while we were split on the ship, maybe. And also, did we even investigate the engineering room? Was it even on my mind? As far as I remember, no one ever went back there. And I was in there for about 5 to 10 seconds until Con said that everything is fine, and Grim, you came, well, to play a practical joke, but you came to get me out of the engineering room itself.
Yes. I can confirm that.
Very good. Which just leaves us with the last one.
Which is actually much more concerning to me than the first two. You say you killed this ice elf. Why were we even in this ziggurat? We weren't there going in there to kill ice elves. That wasn't our calling, our plan. We went in there to save people and to gather information. How did your action help in that regard? This person didn't attack us yet you just murdered him. I don't know if you just saw red, if your gladiator impulses took over, or if you were just scared of him. Either way, it was a stupid decision, and I, as your friend and comrade, felt compelled to get you out of this mindset. I would have talked with you afterwards, like I expected to you if you have doubts like me, like your voice, and not bring it up in front of the whole crew.
I have to rebuttal against that. I do agree with Blackstone. What you did was brash, Mutaru. Bring it in front of the entire crew. But don't forget, young man, you are also brash as well. Bright, but brash. But what Mutaru did, he had a point. There was still potential evil being done at this ziggurat. And with our actions, we were able to at least eliminate the problem. What he did was foolish, and I agree with that. It's just, it led to us getting the job done. It led to us getting what we did have to do.
Yes, and I accept that.
I've received more strenuous scoldings from my nursemaid when I was a child than Blackstone gave to Mutaru. I hardly see that as grounds to suspect
what
the
happened
plot.
if this was one of the escaped prisoners who was polymorphed by some evil magics that went here? What if this person knew more details we didn't learn because he was killed?
What if he was so powerful that he could have... Do you remember what the last caster did? Was able to hold everyone, including that giant beast, and large ice sculptures, pretty much.
Yeah, that's exactly my point.
Yes.
We cannot just kill anybody just on the fear that he might be powerful.
Well, I rather suspect the fact that he dies so easily indicates he was not as powerful as that.
Yeah, but we didn't know this. That's exactly my point. You cannot just jump to conclusions like he is doing just now. Why are we standing here?
We did reconfirm that it was, in fact, an undead ice elf, which is pretty much everything.
Well, and I saved you from his magic stuff, if you remember.
I have to agree.
Well, I do recall this. Listen, Blackstone, first of all, I will accept my responsibility in things. I am the way I am, and I've always been that way. You're right. I'm not necessarily in my right mindset, and this whole matter has got me doing what I do. Except I don't have a wall to charge. I don't have a enemy to rip to pieces. I have to stomp my feet, which I am not good at. Same thing with this thing, with words. I'm trying a new way. I'm trying to be different. But
I gently pat like Mutaro's like shoulder, like, oh, I'm sorry. Are you dealing with potential betrayal for the first time? That was my whole life. It's okay.
It'll pass or not.
It was wrong of me to do that in front of the crew, and I, for my part, apologize. But nonetheless, even in your own defense, you have also admitted that there were several opportunities where, circumstances being what they were, the potential exists. You said so in both, in nearly all those cases.
The potential exists for any one of us to betray the order under the right circumstances. This is hardly the grounds for any formal charges.
No, but look, if it eases your conscience, I do not feel that Blackstone is an evil person. I do not feel that Blackstone is capable of betraying the group. That is not my world. It is not what I am used to. It is not something that I can knowingly relinquish these things to simply say that, oh, well, he's a nice guy.
Anyone is capable.
Exactly. Anyone is capable. Julii, I'm fairly sure that we saw the first hand what happens when a person like Sori, who trusted her mentor unequivocally, is betrayed. And I'm fairly sure that if the same thing happened, Sori would have had this exact same conversation.
I think the
Aboard her
matter
ship.
is a matter of scale, and evidence is significantly different here. I can't help feeling you're projecting what you've experienced outside with the betrayals of Julii and the information or order onto these things that are perhaps raised questions in your mind, but have no real concrete direction. I mean, do you really want us to throw Blackstone in the brig based upon this now?
No.
With all that we must face? Well, if that's the case, then
that's
it's been a long day,
that's-
Mutaru. I've exhausted all my magics. We're all beaten and battered. And frankly, I find that this is not getting us anywhere constructive.
And I have to agree. I do not, at the moment, deem... I understand that you want to pursue on these and maybe explore these ideas, but at the moment, nothing seems concrete enough to really take action upon. Mutaru. It's scary. I understand. It's scary with the idea that anyone could potentially stab me in the back. I think about that all the time. Look at me. I'm fine. But it's, well, it's something you're going to have to start living with. Always having a second plan. But at the moment, nothing really, points to me in the direction that Blackstone is a person who is someone who's planning an operation, nor do I think he's under any influence. But we can always keep a closer eye on each other and our actions. That makes people better. Oh, if you excuse me, I have to double check on something, and I exit the door.
Before you grow, Griham, can we
Yes?
just agree on something here? That before we bring something in front of presumably a court, which is what you wanted to do, that we speak with each other before that?
Oh, absolutely. Mutaru, slap on the wrist. That was very rude. But also rash. You don't want to create disarray amongst the crew.
No.
Well,
Now
you
I have
just
to go check
did.
on it.
The Chung believe in transparency. We do not
Well,
hide
very
things.
transparent of you to come up with this elaborate plan to frame me instead of
I
speaking
frame-
with me.
And what exactly would you say that I placed on you?
The entire ordeal.
Gentlemen, it's been a very long day. I suggest that we adjourn this meeting.
Mutaru will...
Mutaru, for one, I want to see you in medbay because you do not look like you should be able to stand up and string a sentence together. Blackstone, I think you need to have a meal and some rest. I don't know what's going on with Graham, but we should probably find out.
And I open the door.
Mutaru, with me.
Mutaru grumbles and sort of in Chung and sort of marches to medbay.
Oh, and I forgot to tell you, we have guests.
What?
Yes, the Anchor are going to be docking our ship probably right around now.
There is a soft thud as the sound of a ship docking with your own echoes throughout.
Marvelous, they're here. We must go talk to them first.
Oh,
Let me get out of this mess.
perhaps you can... I really must get Mutaru to medbay.
But we really need to talk to these gentlemen, and we are the captain's representatives. Let's
Well,
just...
we are
go
also
do-
heavily wounded. If it makes you feel better, I could accompany you, but I think also I trust you to do the right thing.
All right. I
Which
guess
do
we
you
go.
prefer?
No, it makes sense. We
mean,
are heavily
by-
wounded.
By my memory of the last session, Mutaru is like on what, 1-2 hit points or something.
I have 4 hit points, and as Mutaru's walking out, Mutaru, it sort of dawns on Mutaru what Griam said, and Con as well, like the whole imposing things like that. And he realizes that, he's far from where he grew up. He's far from his home. And that what he had done, even though he can't see it, has slighted against someone he considers an ally, or at least, a friend. Mutaru puts the Naginata, leans it against the wall, and turns to Blackstone, still very stern-faced. And he sort of says, "The Chung do not apologize. The Chung, however, take responsibility, and we shed it. Our guilt, our failures, and everything." And he pulls out a knife.
No.
Straight through his hand.
What are you doing?
The doctor's not amused.
Take 3 points of damage.
4 points all.
And again, I'm gonna use a perform to try and conceal the.
The
Okay,
pain.
no, yeah, it's a 5 to conceal the pain. So
So you
Not
what?
right.
Cry?
there's a little tear coming down one side of his face, and he says, "In this case, Mutaru is wrong, and Mutaru will not be again."
And I really thought it'd be great to have all of us up there. It could be like a team building exercise almost, talking about really important stuff with the anchor, but I was definitely mistaken. Con, you're so right. Please take this madman to his medical thing.
And then I'll walk to medbay.
Graham, let's see what these anchors have to say.
I lead him off towards Medbay, pat him on the shoulder, and go, "You really are a daft Chung."
Yep. As like I'm walking alongside Blacks, be like,
The dagger is still in his hand. I'm wrapping
great.
it in bandages, trying to stem the bleeding. Like,
great.
like, seriously? And now I've got to extract this from your hand. I mean, honestly.
Graham and Blackstone, you...
Yeah, we're heading up. Like as we're heading up, it's like, great. So we're going to be dealing with basically the jocks of the other order. We'll see what those chuckleheads have to say.
Well, I assume it's important.
You step up onto deck, and the 3 jocks of the order step forward. One is a Sajet female with pitch black hair and ochre-lined eyes. She stands about 4'7" and is very slender of frame. White linen cloth breathes about her form, concealing yet, in the Sajet way, also tempting and promising things of a passionate nature. From her,
Jocks, eh?
the
Things I miss for you, Mataru.
the scent of the desert flowers drift over as her perfume alights upon the ship with a delicacy that is bespoke only perhaps by her companion, a
And
female
so
Cathar.
where we stand, blood encrusted.
Yes.
While like trying to look as presentable as possible, but like all of this perfume and like sensual, like sexual stuff potentially just goes over his head. He doesn't really pay attention to this stuff at all. Just
That's good, because standing next to her is a young female Cathar, the feline species from the far north. If she could be wearing less clothing, it would be a handkerchief. Also, with a grin upon her face and the scent of spice upon the air about her, none of them are armed at the moment. Standing and towering over them is a 6.5-foot female orc. She is, well, it's difficult to tell what is her and what is the alligator skin or the skin of other animals that she wears. But there is a definite femininity about her. And thus you are presented with the 3 jocks of the Order of the Anchor.
Welcome aboard.
captains.
Selkaris steps forward, the Cathar female. She bows gracefully before the 2 of you. It is a rare honor for us to meet with the Histari Order. We are very happy to see you.
We're not. We're very busy. What do you want?
Come on, so show them some respect.
I am showing them respect by wanting to get on with our business. It's important. What is that's important?
Hathsal steps forward, brushing her feminine feline companion aside. I can see that you are in a difficult situation. We have been appraised. We are here to offer whatever assistance you might need. I am a priestess of Nur, and will be able to offer succor to you in your time of recovery. My companion here, Selkaris, is a very, very good provider of nourishment and food, and I'm sure you and your crew who have been through much could benefit from that. We have heard of your situation and have come to aid.
How? We did not send out a distress signal. Am I incorrect on this, Blackstone?
Not to my knowledge.
We did not send out any distress signal. Where did you get this information from?
The orc steps forward. It looks like they are ungrateful, doesn't it? Well, that's to be expected, I suppose, of Histari. I told you it was a waste coming here.
So far, you haven't just offered your help out of the blue to a different order. How do you even know we are here?
The three of them look about the ship, look at the two of you.
Fine. Do we need to bring this to a quieter place? Is that it?
No, says Selkaris. But we had hoped to do it while you were asleep.
I knew it. Blackstone, get your weapons ready.
What weapons?
Oh, great!
Hathsal's hands illuminate in golden energy as she starts to cast a spell. Selkaris starts to lift up into the air.
Like, crew, we're under attack!
And we'll be back next week to find out what happens at this most interesting juncture.
I freaking knew it.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's why, I'm sorry. When you throw that stuff, Cream's like, no. What is it? What do you want? What is it? What is it?
Thank you for watching. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and join us for the review afterwards, because clearly everyone's going to be talking about what happened in the show today. So without further ado, let's move straight on into the review. Yes, a very interesting situation, and Dice of Destiny, I'm going to actually kick off just to go through. From my side, I had very little to do this episode. I was really just sitting there watching, listening, and seeing where it went. The challenge that one has when you have inter-party conflict, of course, is when to step in and change things, suggest things, or alter things. And here it was very difficult because I had no voice. You effectively locked them outside. So, aside from weather effects,
You really not.
yes,
Yeah, I was kind of like tempted to have them come in and be like, no, I know we want this to be private, so just have them right outside.
yes.
Yeah. Some information, please. No. Wait outside.
Wait your turn. This isn't
Yes,
your game.
this is not your game.
Serve the GM.
So I'm happy for that, because I think it was important that the conversation played itself out and moved to a point where we get to Mutaru's perhaps apology. But yes, it was very interesting to watch that.
The first thing you said, this is not an apology.
Yes. It was very entertaining to watch a non-apology happen. So yes, but I think it resolved peacefully anyway. And of course, then I had to come in and change things up a bit. All right, so the dice says that we should start with Blackstone. Blackstone, as the accused, you stand herefore, therefore, and thusly, wrongly or rightly accused. So I know there was lots of things going on behind the scenes for this episode.
Yeah. So obviously, since this was like a cliffhanger, I did a little bit of preparation here. I did not remember all the details of what happened, so thanks for that, Michael. But yeah, and I had no idea where this went, so I had a few kind of ideas where this could go, and had like a few ideas what Blackstone would do in these circumstances. Didn't completely went another way, as it tends to do. Yeah. So from the point of no, ask a question.
I was going to say, do you feel that there has been some sort of resolution here, or do you think that we've just started a journey now?
So I think there was a resolution, at least for the two neutral parties. I think that this is. I don't know how Mutaro feels about it, but something that Blackstone wasn't able to show that much, and I tried to do my best impression of it during the trial. Was he is extremely hurt by this. Like,
Oh, I know.
like, what the hell, man? He thought of him as a friend, and he was truthful in the sense of that he expected a friend and a comrade, either, really, and he's both, to speak to someone if there is doubt. Because if there's no doubt, then what is there really? So he is hurt, and he is unsure about Mutaro right now, and he's unsure about Griam too, because of what happened in the past season. But yeah, but so now he's in a situation where he feels very unsure about the entire situation, and that is completely new to him, and like Mutaro really blindsided him, and that really hurt, and from his point of view probably destroyed the trust and friendship.
For now, yeah. Mutaro?
Yeah, wow, there was definitely a lot to unpack. Now this just to be clear to obviously the folks at home and stuff like that, this isn't something that happened I suppose organically, I guess. A lot of people kind of talk about inter-party conflict happening at as a spur of the moment thing. Now I don't think that should ever happen. You should never start an inter-party conflict as a spur of the moment thing. It should be something that you've got a little bit of time to kind of go to sleep over and stuff like that, because sometimes everyone kind of has moments or has things and stuff like that. So regarding the Blackstone Mutaro thing, as a character, Mutaro, I enjoy playing Mutaro and watching his growth go from this big buffoonish naive kind of character, and then as this kind of really kind of dark and sort of melancholic escapades unfold, seeing the changes of him. And obviously the betrayal of Julii was something that, when it happened, was something that was quite quiet, because it was like, well, what do you mean she's betrayed us? What do you mean this has happened? And then, what do you mean the order is like, we've got traitors in the order? What and we're not really in a situation where we can stop and unpack that. And then, sort of having all this stuff, sort of the speculative stuff, I wanted to create a scenario in which Blackstone wasn't, I suppose, to the audience, I guess, wasn't victimized. It wasn't Blackstone's fault. Blackstone wasn't, in the wrong here. It was Mutaro, because Mutaro was acting irrational, and Mutaro is acting completely without, kind of, the usual decorum, which in combat is great. You just charge in, smack things, and that's about it. But in a conversation, in something where you're taking on a leadership role, a social role, and stuff like that, being that kind of brash, you do stupid shit. And by announcing it to the group, obviously Khan and Graham were able to sort of rein it in and say, no, there's something wrong with Mutaro, which is where I wanted the direction to go, and said, no, Blackstone, this is all speculative, this isn't about you, or this isn't a problem, but there's something wrong with Mutaro, and that's kind of the end result. It was actually really funny because earlier on we were obviously talking about backstories and stuff like that. So I kind of thought to myself, like, obviously this thing with Blackstone and Mutaro has sort of been building up and down with like us sort of butting heads every once in a while. And I want to kind of give it a resolution at some point. That point obviously isn't now, but this is the point where that sort of bridge is sort of snapped. And now what can happen is we can either sort of stay that kind of like bitter rival kind of thing, or maybe we'll see something stronger grow from whatever happens in the near future. Whatever the case is, I'm kind of really eager to see where that goes, how the roleplay will twist and turn, and be a part of that with obviously Simon, who I love to bits. I think, by the way, you did absolutely fantastic. I was actually really worried about doing it. I was very, trepidatious because I've never been in that kind of situation with you. So I was actually really happy you kind of got on board with it. You got passionate, but at the same time, you were having fun with it, which I appreciate. And from my part, that was freaking awesome. And I had so much fun, doing that.
Someone who didn't have... Sorry, yes. Go for it.
Just to make sure, like, this is in character, not in person. Just this is like very important, right? Even though I went a little bit like loud and like, what are you doing, right? This is Blackstone, not Simon. Like, obviously, as players, we know each other maybe from before, but we haven't been playing together for years. So there's certain uncertainty. How will the other person react, like roleplay wise, in certain situations? And I think these are actually situations that I really enjoy role playing, because this is actually character building. Or showcasing.
Yeah.
A character who was not having fun throughout the entire session was Con.
I'm so sorry, man.
Oh, that was great.
No, that was great. Yes, Con obviously was, what the hell is going on now? All right, let's just sort this right now so I can go to bed with a brandy.
Yes, Dad.
No, I thought that was fantastic. I had no idea which direction it was going to go in. I had some clues as to what Michael as to what Michael was, what his charges were, and I had some clues as to a potential route we could go with Blackstone, and depending on how the scenario actually played out. But beyond that, I really had no, this wasn't like a direct, we didn't have an ultimate outcome in mind. We were all sitting here going, and what are we going to do next?
We didn't, like, Michael and I didn't speak at all about what we were going to do. Right?
No,
so this isn't like a
Correct.
mastermind scripting. Like,
Correct.
Yeah, actually...
and for all of that, really? I thought it turned out really well. I think everyone got something out of it. I don't know if...
super quick, with regards to what Con was saying about... what Jono was saying about, getting bits and pieces of information. One thing I kind of just want to quickly throw in there was I gave all the information I had about this encounter to my GM and basically said, share this with who you want to share it with. This is what I'm going with. This is the direction I'm having. So he had full transparency, and the both of us know, obviously, Simon's particular style. He prefers like kind of like role playing in a genuine sense. So giving him that information beforehand, I reckon would have spoiled it. So it wasn't it wasn't like I was just sort of blindsiding Simon and going, I don't want him to prepare a defense.
As far as I'm concerned, everyone sent information through to me, and I could have a look at it, and then everyone shut me out of the room. So it's fine. I remember that for next time.
What's going to happen?
We'll pay for that later.
Yes, you'll pay for that later. All right, Graham, you were having fun. You were smiling away like a Cheshire cat.
I know. Oh my God.
My question is how did you weasel out of being the one who gets accused? There was all sorts of things going on with you and Julia, and yet you're the one sitting with your feet in the proverbial butter here.
Oh, because I found the real issue with this and immediately took care of it before it could talk. Man.
So you tell me next time I should just let Mutaro die? Is that what you say?
No. But I gotta say, like, as Graham, like, he was also smiling for the opportunities. As a player, I'm like, oh yes, I see so many opportunities to break everything. I'm just like, I could lie so much between all of them, and I could make him go crazy, or him just want to kill another. And there's so many different opportunities. But overall, in the character sense, Graham was thinking like, this I can use for later if I have to. But at the same time, he's also like, in the back of his mind, he's also thinking, and yes, really, how am I not being accused? This is beautifully this is beautifully a mess.
Yes.
This is a beautiful mess.
Yeah.
Oh, that, and I thought, like, legitly, he was thinking, like, oh, okay, Anchors might be able to shake it up a bit with character sense. Was thinking, like, well, maybe they have some information, or maybe they want to bring up something with them that might be important. But player sense thinking, like, oh, guy, what do you wish to do to us now? I'm ready.
Yeah, I was like, this is gonna change everything. Like,
All I can think of, Mutaro's in sick bay going, I can't trust anyone! No one! You're all allowed to get me!
Like, he's, like, slowly, like, licking, like, some ice cream on a cone, just...
Yeah.
All
right.
If I may,
God again,
just
What are you
doing, Mutaru?
Just quickly.
if I may, just to illustrate one quick point there, that one good thing about this session was a great example of there are so many things that I, the player, know that Con doesn't know, and approaching the whole accusation defense situation whilst trying to maintain Con's position of not knowing all of these details and therefore approaching just what he's seeing before him. Great fun.
Yes. Okay. Thank you for joining us for this review of the episode. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and let us know if you enjoy these post-game discussions. Until next time, I wish you and yours the happiest of playing.